Go ahead.
This guy's an idiot. If anybody wants to see a good vegan debate between Haas and someone else, you check this one out. It's with a person called Guoctopus.
Am I coming through all right? Sometimes Discord messes up my mic.
Yeah. Do you want to cam up?
Oh, I prefer not to if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I guess
She's a
we're
bit
just
low,
here
but
to, like, discuss veganism and such. So I guess we can just start, I guess, if you want to tell me perhaps what your contentions are with veganism.
Sure. So my basic idea is that, in a way, vegans are bad people because instead of accomplishing being more humane toward animals, which I don't think is possible, vegans actually degrade humanity to the level of animals.
oh, this is what a stupid argument. Let's just go back here.
Because instead of accomplishing that...
So what your contentions are with veganism.
Sure. So my basic idea is that, in a way, vegans...
In a way.
Are bad people.
In a way, vegans are bad people. So all vegans are bad in a way.
Because instead of accomplishing being more humane toward animals, which I don't think is possible.
So we can't, it's not possible to be more humane towards animals. Haz, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you saying?
Vegans actually degrade humanity to the level of animals.
You know what? You might have certain vegans who want to degrade human beings and shit like that, but generally it's not about degrading humans, it's about elevating animals. And not necessarily to the point that they are 100% equal to humans. This is not the fucking argument. The whole point is just to treat them in a more humane way.
Okay, so when you say vegans are bad people, that's like fine with me. I'm not really interested in like your contentions with vegans as individuals, but more so with like veganism.
Yeah, but that's what he's saying. He's saying veganism is bad, therefore vegans are bad people.
As a movement. So would your concerns then be that you think veganism as a movement is sort of bringing the value of humanity down to that of non-human animals?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, well that's interesting to me because most vegans I know actually don't value humans and non-humans the same. So would you mind perhaps explaining why you get this impression from veganism?
Yeah, I don't think most vegans think that animals and humans are quantitatively in a sense the same, as in the same on the hierarchy or the spectrum. But in a way, they see humans and animals as qualitatively the same. They think that basically the only difference...
So there are qualities that are similar in humans as well as animals, just like the quality of being able to perceive and feel pain, sentience. So they're not qualitatively different in the sense of like, yeah, we're all mammals. I mean, there are things that are very similar between animals and human beings because human beings are in fact animals.
Between humans and animals is a level...
He's saying that there's some kind of qualitative difference. So it's not just on a, we're not just on a spectrum of like animals and humans and shit. He's saying that they are completely separate. And I don't know how you can come to this conclusion unless you believe that human beings have some kind of divine priority over other animals. This is the only way that I think you could come to that conclusion.
Full of intelligence.
Specky V says Vosh is less sentient than the average animal, so has debunked. Fuck yeah.
Or a level of complexity or a level of this or that, but ultimately they put humans and animals on the same plane of being, and that's really what I find extremely dangerous.
What?
Okay, I'm probably just...
What does it mean to be on the same plane of being? We all exist, Haz.
I'm going to ask a lot of questions to clarify just because I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So when you say that we put them on the same plane of being, what does that mean exactly?
Sure. They refuse to recognize the exceptionality of human beings as qualitatively different beings than animals. In other words, that humans are not, for them, humans are just animals who are more intelligent and more this, more that, but they're...
But dude, human beings are animals who have been... you have to look at, like, let's say, certain species of animal develop large claws. Or certain species of animals develop large feet so they could jump further. Our species of animal has decided that what's evolutionary beneficial for us is to put energy into developing our brains. So yeah, there is a quality to humans that is different than other animals, but at the end of the day, it's all the same. We all just evolve in different ways.
There's no qualitative difference with animals, only a kind of spectrum.
Okay, I think my limitation when it comes to my understanding of philosophy might be becoming an issue here, because I'm not sure what it means to say, like, qualitative differences.
Oh, yeah, I'll explain that. So,
Okay.
with a quantitative
Let's see.
difference, you basically have the same form, but different quantities of that same form.
Dude, I wonder what fucking Haz has to say about us being mammals.
So, for example, a quantitative difference can be height, right? Someone is taller than another person. That's a quantitative difference, right? But width, when you introduce width, width is not just quantitatively different from height. It's qualitatively an entirely different thing itself with its own spectrum. So does that make sense?
I think I'm still failing to understand fully, but maybe I could just give you sort of my perspective on the idea of the value of, like, humans and non-humans, and then that might address your concerns, if that's fine.
Okay.
All right, yeah, sure. So I don't actually value, like, humans and non-human animals equally. I would say I generally value humans more. But when it comes to something like veganism and the question of, like, whether we should be killing these animals for food, to me it now becomes a matter of, I don't value a cow as much as I value a human, but I value them both enough to not kill and eat them, right?
Exactly.
And I can probably draw the analogy between maybe someone who values, like, their mom more than, like, a random stranger. You can value your mom more than a random stranger, but you can still value them both enough to not kill and eat them, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. So to me, that would be putting humans and animals on the same plane of being.
Dude, come on, fuck. Holy shit, dude. Just to say that this fucking other being deserves life? Fuck off, man, dude. Like honestly, dude, I love Haz. I hate a lot of the shit that he says in terms of, like, anti-fascists, for sure. I think it's counterproductive. But, dude, his brain turns to fucking jello when he talks about veganism. And I don't know if he's doing it just for clout or he's doing it just to troll. I don't know if he truly believes all vegans are bad just because they equate humans and animals. Like, dude, we're not fucking saying that this little rabbit has more of a right to live than your mother. We're just trying to say that both have the right to live. Is it the case that the rabbit will be... anyways, fuck. Dude, he really gets me nervous when it comes to this.
Treating them the same way, but ultimately, of course you prefer... In the same way that your mother is a human, right? Of course you prefer your mother over other human beings. But we are extending...
But would you kill another human being for no reason just because they're not your mother?
Or there is a pretense to extending humanity to animals, such that while we might not treat cows the same way as humans, we're also going to ascribe to them some degree of so-called sentience or consciousness.
Animals are sentient and conscious. I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
And basically put this on the same spectrum. Not the same place on that spectrum, but the same spectrum as beings.
Yeah,
Right,
it
well,
is
that's
on the same
probably
spectrum.
because humans and animals share certain properties, right? And I would say that the property of something like consciousness or sentience would be that. Although, like you were kind of alluding to earlier, I would certainly say that cows probably possess a lower level of sentience, but the actual property of having sentience would be something that's shared between them.
Yeah, she's correct here, absolutely. And Mr. Sensi Snack says, I'm not vegan, but my perspective has always been that the vast majority are truly good-hearted people. Yeah, we can't just say that all vegans are bad. I get into arguments with other vegans all the fucking time, especially these vegans who insist on using terminology like animal holocaust because they think that it's gonna bring people to their side or something. No. We shouldn't be comparing what happens to the animals. The wholesale slaughter of animals for food is not the same thing as the ethnic cleansing of Jewish people in Nazi Germany. They're just not the same thing. So there are a lot of fucking critiques that I have, especially of white vegans, you know, because it's like they don't understand that their advocacy needs to be directed to other human beings, because animals are in such a position that the infrastructure around factory farms puts it so that animals cannot resist, and moments of animal resistance do exist. People like individuals try to jump off of the fucking trucks and they run away. There have been situations of animal resistance in zoos and stuff like that. There are many other examples that I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but come on, man. Come on, dude. The whole philosophy seems rooted in compassion. I know a vegan IRL. He's a pro-Zionist, transphobe, racist, and labor aristocratic closet Malthusianism. So fuck that guy 100%, but it's not because he's vegan that he's bad. It's because he's pro-Zionist, transphobic, racist, and a labor aristocratic closet Malthusian. So this is what I'm trying to get at, you know?
This is where I would have to disagree. I think words like consciousness and sentience are extremely poorly defined.
Sentience, straight up. Maybe we could talk about conscious another time, but sentience is just the ability to perceive and feel pain. If you think that animals can't perceive and feel pain, I just think that you're living under a rock.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Those terms can be kind of difficult to fully flesh out, but I can do my best, I guess. So when I think of sentience, to me, I consider what is it like to be that thing. So if I think to myself, what is it like to be a rock? Well, there's probably really nothing there. But if I think to myself, what is it like to be a cow? Then there are certainly like subjective experiences that are happening.
I think that's a kind of, ironically, it's kind of an anthropocentric way of looking at animals. I don't think you can...
Oh my god, dude. Being able to say that animals feel pain is not anthropocentric. You're not putting human qualities onto the animals. You're not saying that these animals are going out for romantic dates and they're so cute and shit. Dude, we're just saying that they feel pain. They avoid pain and they are attracted to things that are pleasurable for them. Like, come on, dude.
Actually subjectively relate to animals. They are so radically different.
No, I would argue that they're not so radically different. They are different, but they are not so radically different that they shouldn't be considered in terms of not killing them and eating them anymore. And obviously, I'm not talking about people who are in survival situations. People who are in survival situations do a bunch of fucking things. Well, what do you want me to do? And I'm also not here to tell other people to be vegan. But if you think that you are able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Supplement your diet and take away the meat products, and you're doing it because you feel compassion for animals, then I think you should do it. And if you do have those feelings but you're not doing it, I think you're lying to yourself.
That I think the only way you can relate to them is negatively. You can't actually put yourself in the shoes of a cow and interpret their feelings or their experiences.
Okay, you can't put yourself directly in their shoes, but there are cues that you could take from the cow. When you strip the baby from the cow cries. When you kick a dog, the dog will whimper and run away. There are cues that you can understand. Just because you're not able to sit them down in a therapist's chair and say, hey, so tell me about your day. Come on, man, that's disingenuous.
Even for animals, the animal that is probably closest to us, not in terms of similarity, but in terms of compatibility, which is a dog. Obviously, chimpanzees are more similar, but dogs are way more compatible with our motion gestures. Even when it comes to a dog, I don't think you can really intuit or interpret or really, truly empathize with a dog. I think you can have an idea in your head of what the feeling or what, the experience of the dog is, and oftentimes or sometimes that can be compatible with how the dog responds to that feedback. But ultimately, I think you are dealing with beings so fundamentally and radically different that no kind of empathy is possible.
Yeah, so I would agree that like humans and animals are generally like so different in the sense that we can't really always fully understand kind of what's going on with them. But I think to me it's less about being able to understand what they're thinking and what they're feeling and things like that. And more so just being able to understand that they are thinking and feeling to some extent, even if we don't know exactly what it is. Like a cow might be thinking something, it might be feeling something. What exactly they're feeling, I probably couldn't tell you, although I could infer from their, their behaviors and things like that. So it's less about saying like, oh, I think I can properly empathize with a cow or a dog, and more so about saying, even if I couldn't empathize with them, they're still experiencing reality subjectively, and so it seems reasonable to infer that they have sentience.
This is where I'd have to disagree. I don't believe that they're experiencing reality subjectively, and moreover, I don't think it's possible to understand animal experience at all. I don't think
it's impossible. It's impossible to understand that if you kick a dog in the face, it's bad for them. It's impossible for you to fucking understand that. Come on, Haz, man, fuck.
I think when we say words like feeling, right, I think we tend to take for granted how much human baggage is associated even with a word like that. What does it really mean to feel? What does it really mean to experience?
I don't know, dude. Why don't you go ask the cows who have their babies taken away from them and they start shrieking and crying and moaning and mooing and their behavior changes and they become depressed or they become aggressive? Why can't you understand that?
So on and so on. Right. When it comes to I just believe there's an unbridgeable chasm.
Just real quick, sorry, I'm like kind of keeping up with your chat a little bit, and some people were saying my mic suddenly got really loud, and so I don't know if that's like an issue, or if it's resolved at this point, but
it's not an issue that I can hear, but I don't know.
No, it's fine.
Okay, we're probably good. All right. So then, are you just like not convinced of the sentience of other animals? Then is that kind of what the issue is?
Yep.
Issues?
Yeah. Okay. Dude, debate over. Because at the end of the day, dude, if you just don't think animals are sentient, dude, what the fuck could anybody say to you?
That's interesting. So what would you say it is then about human, or let me think of how to word this properly. So when I think of like who is sentient, to me, I don't see any more reason to doubt the sentience of a cow than a human. Maybe someone could provide like a compelling argument. I just personally haven't heard it, right? So then when I hear you say that, kind of what I think is, well, what is it about cows and other animals that causes you to doubt their sentience, especially if you're not doubting it in the case of humans?
Because he wants to ignore the fact that what ended up on his plate had to endure a life of suffering. Because we should never feel okay with putting a sentient being in an environment where the infrastructure completely takes away all their autonomy. We take away their children. We treat them like simply just as products. Hey, Flores, thank you so much for the $5 donation. That helps out a lot. I have been having my hours cut at work, and it's getting really rough. So I really appreciate that, Flores. Thank you so much for the $5. Yeah, Haz is just, he has to tell himself that they have no sentience because he doesn't want to think about where his fucking food comes from. And that where his food comes from is a very dark, dreary, disgusting place. Greenery says, I think it's interesting that soy has such a bad spotlight, considering how long it's been eaten by some cultures. For sure, for sure. Great conversation, thank you. Anytime, comrade. Comrade, dude, the infrared Reddit were arguing about Haz's views on veganism. Yeah, because he's completely wrong here. There's just no denying it. It's not going to take Qualitative. It's not going to take me debating him. It's not going to take perspective philosophy. Nobody's going to show that he's wrong. He's just wrong. And the people who want to ignore it, it's because they don't want to think about where their food comes from. Holy shit, thank you so much for the $15. But dude, it's okay, I need the cash, but if you need it, don't feel fucking obliged to send me anything. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Holy shit, I agree.
Sure. When we talk about words like sentience or consciousness, we're talking about a level of fundamental awareness. Right? Some kind of awareness of something. Now, what is that something?
My dude, for an animal to feel pain and run away from it, is that not an understanding of what is going on? Just because it's not an understanding in the same way that you would have it, is that the event would happen and you would go have some kind of philosophical debate with someone. So the reason that animals can't do that is the reason that they shouldn't be valued, period.
it's not particular objects and things within our phenomenal vision. For example, it's not just grass, it's not just other animals, it's just not other beings. When we use the word awareness or conscious, we're speaking about some kind of awareness of something more fundamental than any one particular object in the world.
Dude, if animals were not aware of their environments, how the fuck would they evolve?
Or and moreover, even the ability to consciously differentiate objects. And note, I'm not saying treat different objects differently, which animals clearly do, obviously, but to consciously differentiate them as objects, as discrete and intelligible objects. This presupposes and requires a fundamental, more fundamental stream of awareness.
Oh, dude, this is just a bunch of word salad, man.
What animals are capable of.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think it sounded like you were describing your idea of sentience there a little bit, right?
Yeah, and to give you a better idea, I think in the history of religion, the awareness of this thing, this fundamental being, religion gives description to it in the form of a divinity, of a god, right? If you're not religious, it's not actually necessary to say it's a god. Philosophers, specifically during the classical philosophers, like Plato, would give description to this. I don't know if it would be loaded to call it a being. They would call it the good, the form of forms, right? The good. And then in Enlightenment philosophy, they might call it something like the absolute object, right? Or Kant's
dude,
absolute object.
He's just going
gives
too down a
coherence
philosophy
and
road
structure
here.
to our reality.
Dude, literally, you do not need some philosophical, ethical system to tell you that hurting an animal that doesn't need to be hurt is wrong.
So, it seems very clear to me that the difference between humans and animals is possessing this fundamental, some kind of awareness of something more fundamental than our immediate being.
Yeah, sure. I would actually agree that, of course, generally speaking, non-human animals have like a less complex form of cognition than humans. But to me, that just means that they're probably just less sentient. And to you, it sounds like you're making the claim that they're just like not sentient at all.
Precisely. To me, it's not that they're less complex. It's that there's a qualitatively different...
Yeah, see, this is the thing. He doesn't even want to look at them as like just like animals and humans as just another animal that are different from other animals. He doesn't want to look at it that way. He wants to look at them both as qualitatively different.
There's a qualitatively different characteristic we're talking.
What is that qualitatively different characteristic? Divinity? Is that what you're fucking saying? Is that humans should be able to kill animals, no fucking problem, because they have been given divine right? I'm not saying that it's bad that you have that mentality. You can have that mentality, fine, but we just disagree.
Talking about human beings are aware of something animals cannot be aware of. Human beings...
And that is specifically why we need to stop eating them. Those of us who can.
Are a form of being that is qualitatively different from animals.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it sounds like perhaps...
Haz likes to say that, putting animals, thinking of animals in this kind of way, thinking about animal rights is a disconnect from humanity, dude. I think that not eating animals, choosing not to eat animals based off of whatever, compassion and things like that, is a very human quality. This is our ability to be able to choose, to be able to rethink things and choose between this and this is fundamentally where us and animals are different in that way. So I think that we should use that knowledge so that we can both help ourselves and the animal kingdom to be able to live a more symbiotic life.
perhaps we're operating under different meanings of the word sentience, right? Because if I just take like a few steps back and revisit like what I describe sentience as, when I think of sentience, I just mean like, what is it like to be that thing? Like if I was that individual, would I be experiencing the world subjectively? And it seems like you're operating under a different meaning where it infers some like sort of higher level of like self-awareness or
Yeah, dude, he's really muddying the definite, like an understanding of what sentience should be. He's trying to make it so that it is so complex and only humans have it or so. No, sentience is simply put the quality to be able to perceive and feel pain. Like really, dude, it's not that hard.
something, I think.
No, I think we're talking about the same thing. It's just I'm giving additional I'm giving an additional level of interpretation and detail to what it is I think we're talking about. But I understand what you're proposing. To me, animals, to say that animals have a subjective experience implies that the animal is a subject, right? In the first place.
It's certain.
A subjective
An animal is certainly not an object.
Experience and so on and so on. But I don't see how this assumption can be justified. A subject, for example, is the addressee of another, whether that being is another human being or, want to go into psychoanalysis, it's some kind of superego or whatever. It is some kind of way in which we define our identity, our being in relation to another. I don't see how animals can be capable of doing this.
Okay, so
What
then
the
you think,
fuck
or,
did he just
or
say?
I should ask you rather, phrase as a question so it doesn't sound like I'm like attributing a position to you that you don't hold. So do you think then that like for any given non-human animal, like a dog or a cow or whatever, that they're not experiencing reality subjectively?
Not subjectively, no. I would not use the word subjectively.
So what word would you use?
Whether they're experiencing reality is a very ambiguous question. What does it mean? To be clear, I don't think that animals are idle objects. I think there is a difference between a rock and an animal, right?
Thank you, Haas, for that enlightened little tidbit of information. Thank you for that.
But I would be very clear about pointing out that animal being is qualitatively unique. An animal's being is qualitatively unique being. I recognize I'm not trying to put humans on a kind of divine-like level.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I think it's very clear we possess some kind of...
Tarla Talk says, learning with Haas. Animals aren't rocks. That's fucking hilarious.
Commonality. Not fundamental commonality, but some kind of commonality.
Dude, he's just trying... Dude, he's saying shit and then he's trying to fucking... Dude, he doesn't know what he's saying. And he doesn't know what he's saying here.
But I just think that we do have a unique humanity.
Okay, there is something unique about humans. There is something unique between a cat and a reptile. There is something unique between a hippopotamus and a farmer. Yes, okay, we're unique. So the fuck what?
Is not the same as animals.
I mean, yeah, I would agree that, you know, collectively humans have characteristics that make them unique and set them apart from non-humans. I'm trying to figure out, I guess, how to word my confusion properly. So think for a second.
Dude, this person, Guactopus, is amazing. She remains so calm through this whole fucking thing. It's really awesome.
So, if we consider a dog, then, would you agree that, like, dogs feel, like, or dogs can, like, suffer and feel pain? Like, if you kick them, there'll be some, like, sort of negative physiological response to that. Like, there'll be, like, a pain response to that.
I do believe that there would be a negative physiological response, but I don't think the experience of pain is the same as a negative physiological response. To me, pain, as far as I understand it, is actually a subjective experience and interpretation, not intellectual interpretation, obviously, a very visceral one, obviously. but it's some kind of interpretation of the physiological response.
Okay, so pain is only the interpretation of what happened to you physiologically. Are you serious?
That is what's painful. What's painful.
Pain is not the nerve endings and getting detached and sending things to your brain. It's only contemplating the pain afterwards. That's what pain is.
Isn't so much the direct physiological response, but the relationship between that response to our more fundamental awareness.
Dude, that is not what pain is.
So you're saying that the pain stems from the relationship between like what's causing the pain, like the external factors and the...
Dude, it's very simple. Very many animals of different species who experience pain will then avoid what has been giving them pain. Is that not enough of a contemplation for you, first of all? Second of all, yes, pain, yeah, it's a physiological... Obviously, dude, and you have to understand that animals do feel emotional pain when they have their children taken away from them, when they have certain members of their group die. Yes, they feel that type of pain, that type of emotional pain that I think Haz is trying to describe here. But he's doing it in a weird way, whereas to say that's the true type of pain, whereas the physiological pain, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Even though they have the same nerves that are firing off, that are connecting to the same fucking parts of the brain as we do when we feel pain, because our central nervous systems are more alike than they are different, he's saying that's not pain. Only the ability to be able to contemplate that pain, where it came from, how to specifically avoid that, that's what real pain is, right? I just don't get what the fuck he's trying to do here.
The level of awareness that an individual has.
It's the experience of the physiological response. It's not just the physiological response itself.
What? It's not the physiological response, it's the experience of the physiological response. So an animal who has just been kicked does not have the experience of being kicked? Dude, I don't know if this guy is going into some kind of like niche philosophical territory, but this is not the kind of language that you use to connect to average normal people, because what you're saying makes no sense. And Guoctopus is doing an amazing job of laying you bare, for you to show your own ignorance on the subject. That's why I love this debate, as opposed to the other couple of debates that you had with perspective, that has had with perspective philosophy. The one with Ask Yourself was completely ridiculous. It wasn't a debate about veganism. It was a debate about what's bad. What does bad mean? And the one that has had with the debate that has had with perspective philosophy was much more focusing on whether or not veganism could stand up based on can be justified based on the Hegelian ethical model. This debate about veganism, I think, really gets to the point, and it's a debate in which normal people can just digest. They can just digest, and I think Guoctopus is doing a really good job at not giving in to Haz's little niche philosophical ideas and really bringing it down to reality. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Maybe I can word my question better. I feel like I probably was a little bit vague. Sorry. So when we think of ourselves, right? And if someone stabs us with a knife, there's going to be this idea of pain there. We might not be able to fully accurately describe it, but if someone stabs me or if someone stabs you, there will be something that we call pain. So would you, if someone stabbed a dog, would you think that there's that same type of pain that goes on in the dog?
Yeah, let me clarify why I don't think it would be the same. So when a human being gets stabbed, there is a very clear and obvious disruption and distress at a physiological level.
Same for the animal.
And we experience that distress, and we call that experience pain. But we are not one and the same with that distress, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
It's not just that we're mechanically responding to distress. The pain comes from the fact that
you literally are mechanically responding. The reason that you feel pain literally is because your nerves are being severed and those connections are being sent to your brain. Literally, that's what it is. And when a human being is in pain, they shriek. they yell, they cry, they run away, they fall down, they hold themselves. If you fucking hurt an animal and abuse an animal, they will do the same thing. They will wince, they will cry, they will avoid pain. What the fuck do you not get?
The distress is disrupting some kind of prior state of subjective.
Oh my god,
harmony.
bro.
And
Oh
this
my
also is
God,
why
dude.
pain is extremely subjective.
Pain is that the reason that getting stabbed in the stomach hurts is because of a disturbance in some kind of perceived harmony. Dude.
People can develop pain tolerances, and pain varies across different individuals.
Nah, if you get stabbed in the stomach, it's gonna fucking hurt, and you're gonna seek medical attention. I don't care how much you've done the mind over matter bullshit.
For reasons that couldn't possibly just be physiological differences. Now, whereas if one were to stab a dog, obviously that's an extremely deranged thing to do, and has to some kind of psychological problem on part of the person, because
Yeah, our like Slacker says here, it's more because our nerves are screaming that something is wrong. So yes, there is a disturbance in the harmony. Yes, there is a disturbance in the harmony, but the disturbance in the harmony is because of the knife entering the system. The knife entering the system of a human being and the knife entering the system of a dog is the same thing. The only thing that's different is that if the human gets stabbed, the human dies. If the dog gets stabbed, the dog dies.
the reason they're stabbing a dog is because think of inflicting pain on humans.
What the fuck is this guy talking about? Not every single fucking person who abuses an animal is like a serial killer who wants to go abuse humans too. Dude, this guy, man.
It reminds them of that. But the truth is that I don't believe the dog actually experiences pain. I think the dog exhibits.
Oh, okay, dude, this is way too much, man. This is way too much.
A response to the pain, but exhibits a response to the distress.
And that response is pain. And then what comes after the pain is the contemplation. Oh fuck, I gotta get out of here. Look who showed up! A little cat, a little cat, a little cat. Hello, hello. Hello, big cat. You are so cute. If I stab you in the side, are you gonna fucking run away from me? Eh? If I stab you? You don't feel pain right now? Are you purring because you're feeling pleasure? I don't know about that. I don't know about that, cat. Because you're not able to perceive your own pain. You're not able to perceive pleasure too. Hello, 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 little monster. And right now I'm gonna perceive the allergic reaction that I'm gonna get. But honestly, I do encourage people to watch this debate. I would encourage people to watch the other debates that he had with other vegans as well, but I think this was one of the best ones, to be honest with you.
Created by the knife, but that's not the same as pain.
Okay, so it seems like you're maybe arguing that, like, if I...
Comrade dude, how obnoxious anarchist talks to cats. Do you like getting stabbed? You know, if somebody just clips that, then boy, they might make me seem like a serial killer. Or I'm like, well, yeah.
If I were to stab a dog, for instance, the response we would see to that would more so just be like, just a response to like the external stimuli, and that we can't necessarily infer pain from that. Like maybe if, like if I had a solar powered calculator and it brought it out into the lights and it like turned on, that it would just be responding to like the environment around it, but we can't necessarily...
I don't take a mechanical view, but I don't think it would be enough to infer
He says that he doesn't take a mechanical view, but his view sounds awfully mechanical.
pain. I do agree that it wouldn't be enough to infer pain, but I'm also not willing to take a mechanical view that it's just like a robot, which basically...
Oh, dude, he's a fence sitter. He's a fucking fence sitter. He's the enlightened centrist between whether or not animals feel pain.
Input and
I don't think they feel pain. It's not that they're a rock, but they're also not a human, so...
output. It's probably somewhere in between, but it's not enough to be pain.
Okay.
So Yeah. So, you know, one of the ways I know people might have trouble understanding this.
I'll put her down. She probably wants to go down.
Pain is a feeling we experience, sometimes without any clear physiological input. We experience pain at very abstract and incorporeal things. We experience pain maybe because we read a text message.
But is that not a physiological response? If you read a text message of somebody breaking up with you, let's say, is that not something that actually changes your physiology? It changes your mind, dude. Like this person who you've been seeing for 2 months all of a sudden tells you they don't want to see you, dude. That's a change in the brain. These are physiological changes, and the pain reaction is what's normal. Furthermore, animals do feel pain if they lose loved ones and shit like that. Obviously, they're not going to feel pain if they receive a text message because they do not use fucking cell phones.
Someone broke your heart. You experience pain when someone betrayed you. You experience pain when...
Dude, how do you think that, let's say, lions in a pride, a lot of male lions, a lot of time they get cast out and shit like that? How the fuck, like, I wish we could just see how that lion feels. You think that the lion is just walking around mechanically, doesn't feel like shit, that he can't be part of any territory and is dying soon? Like, come on, dude.
Most of all, and this is something that is very clear to me that animals aren't capable of doing, you experience pain simply by virtue of a kind of existential anxiety experience.
We've developed more complex brains for our own survival. Therefore, our pain is real, and every other fucking species on Earth, their pain is not real. Just because we're able to think about some abstract situation in the future that might make us feel a little bit bad. Come on,
experience pain that you feel your life is purposeless. So you're not even receiving...
Yeah, it's different. It's fucking different. The way that human beings will feel pain is different than other animals, but it's not necessarily so different so as to say that they are qualitatively completely two opposite things, different things.
Any new stimuli by your external environment, you are just in pain by virtue of some kind of deeper existential condition.
And anyways, all of those deeper existential pains are based off of pain that we've experienced in the past. So,
is it okay if I want to ask you some questions just to flesh out or understand your position more, and I want to make it clear I'm not trying to reduct you. Okay.
Flores says here, like swans have a partner for life. If they lose their loved one, they mostly die soon after. There you go.
Cool. So, so if you kind of take this view on like the experience of like dogs and like their ability to feel pain or perhaps lack thereof, then would you take an issue? Well, I'm assuming you would like take an issue if someone just wanted to like gather up a bunch of dogs and just like treat them horribly, like beat them or whatever, right?
No, yeah, obviously.
Okay, at the very least. Me, I think Haas is gonna become vegan in the next 5 months, but but anyways, comrades, I really enjoyed this live stream. It's 3 hours in. I wanted to watch the rest of this debate. I encourage anybody else to watch this debate. You can find it on YouTube. Just search in Haas Guoctopus. And yeah, that's it. Wait, one sec. Yeah, so I would say watch this debate, watch his other debates for sure, but yeah, I'm gonna be going because I'm tired. I gotta fucking clean up a little bit before I go out for dinner with my partner's family. So thank you so much, comrades. I appreciate it.